The Galactic Empire stood as a titan among the stars, its reach spanning countless worlds across the vast expanse of space. For millennia, it had reigned supreme, its power unquestioned, and its authority absolute. At the helm of this cosmic behemoth sat Emperor Zixnor, a being of immense ego and unwavering belief in the Empire's invincibility. On the glittering capital world of Zenthar Prime, Emperor Zixnor gazed out from his crystal palace, his four eyes scanning the bustling cityscape below. Sleek spacecraft zipped between towering spires that seemed to touch the very stars themselves. The air hummed with the energy of a civilization at the peak of its technological prowess. "Your Majesty," a voice called out, breaking the Emperor's reverie. It was Grand Admiral Krelthar, the Empire's most decorated military leader. The Admiral's scaled skin shimmered in the light as he bowed low before his ruler. Zixnor turned, his ornate robes swirling around him. "Speak, Admiral. What news do you bring from the fringes of our glorious empire?" Krelthar's voice was steady, but a hint of excitement tinged his words. "We have discovered a new world, Your Majesty, a planet teeming with life, home to a species that shows potential." The Emperor's interest was piqued. It had been centuries since a truly noteworthy civilization had been found. Most newly discovered races were primitive, barely worth the Empire's attention. "Tell me more," he commanded. As the Admiral spoke, holographic images sprang to life in the air between them. They showed a blue and green world, spinning slowly on its axis, Earth. "The inhabitants call themselves humans," Krelthar explained. "They are bipedal, carbon-based life forms. Technologically, they are in their infancy compared to us. They have only recently begun to explore their own solar system." Emperor Zixnor scoffed. "Hardly seems worth our time, Admiral. Why bring this to my attention?" The Admiral's expression grew serious. "Because, Your Majesty, despite their technological limitations, these humans show remarkable potential. They are adaptable, resourceful, and possess an indomitable spirit. Our initial observations suggest they could become problematic if left unchecked." The Emperor's laughter echoed through the throne room. "Problematic? For the Galactic Empire? Surely you jest, Admiral. No race has challenged us in 10,000 years. What threat could these primitive creatures possibly pose?" Krelthar hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "It is not their current capabilities that concern us, Your Majesty. It is their rate of advancement. In the span of a mere few centuries, they have progressed from simple tools to rudimentary space travel. Their potential for growth is unprecedented." Emperor Zixnor's amusement faded, replaced by a look of contemplation. He stroked his chin with a long, slender finger. "Interesting. Perhaps we should pay these humans a visit. Show them their place in the grand scheme of things." The Admiral nodded, relief evident in his posture. "I believe that would be wise, Your Majesty. Shall I prepare the fleet for a show of force?" "No," the Emperor said, a cruel smile playing across his features. "Prepare for full invasion. If these humans are as remarkable as you say, let us test their mettle. We shall crush them utterly, and in doing so, remind the galaxy of our supremacy." Krelthar bowed deeply. "As you command, Your Majesty. I will mobilize our forces immediately." As the Admiral turned to leave, Emperor Zixnor called out, "And Admiral, ensure that our victory is absolute. I want tales of this conquest to echo across the stars for eons to come." "It will be done, Your Majesty," Krelthar replied, his voice filled with grim determination. As the doors closed behind the Admiral, Emperor Zixnor turned back to the viewport, his gaze now fixed on the distant stars. Little did he know that his decision would set in motion a chain of events that would shake the very foundations of the Galactic Empire. The humans, far from being an easy conquest, would prove to be the greatest challenge the Empire had ever faced. The stage was set, the pieces were in motion, and the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. As the Galactic Empire's massive fleet prepared for their journey to Earth, a small scouting ship silently entered the Sol system. Aboard this vessel, a team of the Empire's best scientists and observers watched with growing interest as they approached the blue planet. Commander Vexala, a seasoned veteran of countless exploration missions, stood at the helm. Her 6 eyes blinked in rapid succession as she processed the data streaming across the ship's holographic displays. "Fascinating," she murmured, her tentacles twitching with excitement. "These humans have progressed even further since our last report." Dr. Zilven, the chief scientist, floated over to her on his anti-gravity pad. "Indeed, Commander. Their technological advancement is remarkable. Look here," he said, pointing to a section of the display. The screen showed images of Earth's orbiting satellites, space stations, and the beginnings of a lunar base. Vexela's eyes narrowed as she studied the information. "They've established a presence on their moon in such a short time," she noted. Perhaps Admiral Krelthar was right to be concerned. As the scouting ship entered Earth's orbit, they began their detailed observations. The team watched in awe as they witnessed the diversity of human civilization. Cities sprawled across continents, ships crossed vast oceans, and aircraft crisscrossed the skies. Dr. Zilvan's voice was filled with wonder as he reported his findings. "Commander, these humans are incredibly adaptable. They've colonized nearly every environment on their planet. Deserts, tundras, mountains, even the seas. They've found ways to thrive everywhere." Vexala nodded, her military mind already assessing potential weaknesses. "But surely their divisions will make them easy to conquer. Look at their different nations, languages, cultures. They seem more likely to fight among themselves than unite against us." The doctor shook his head, his gelatinous body rippling with disagreement. "I wouldn't be so sure, Commander. Historical data shows they're capable of setting aside differences when faced with a common threat. And their diversity might be a strength. It's given them a wide range of problem-solving approaches." As they continued their surveillance, the team intercepted human communications, analyzed their weapons systems, and studied their social structures. With each passing hour, Vexela found herself growing more uneasy. "Their weapons may be primitive compared to ours," she mused, "but their rate of innovation is alarming. And look at their entertainment. So much of it revolves around scenarios of alien invasions. It's almost as if they're preparing." Dr. Zilvan agreed, his usual scientific detachment giving way to concern. "We may be severely underestimating them, Commander. I fear Emperor Zixnor's plans for a swift conquest may be overly optimistic." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. Vexela rushed to the control panel, her tentacles flying over the controls. "We've been detected," she exclaimed. "Human tracking systems are more advanced than we anticipated." The scouting ship shuddered as it was caught in the grip of Earth's gravity. On the view screen, they could see human aircraft rapidly approaching their position. "Stealth systems failing," reported the ship's eye. "Hull integrity compromised. Crash landing imminent." As the ship plummeted towards the Earth's surface, Vexela made a quick decision. "Send all our data back to the fleet," she ordered. "They must know what we've learned." The ship streaked across the sky like a meteor, drawing the attention of humans all over the globe. In research centers, military bases, and government offices, alarms sounded. The message was clear. First contact was imminent. As the scout ship crashed in a remote forest, teams of human scientists and military personnel were already racing to the site. The galaxy held its breath, unaware that this small incident would spark a conflict that would reshape the balance of power among the stars. In the Empire's capital, blissfully unaware of the unfolding drama, Emperor Zixnor continued his preparations for what he believed would be a simple conquest. But the tides of war were about to turn in ways none could have predicted. The world changed overnight. News of the crashed alien ship spread like wildfire across the globe. Governments scrambled to respond, militaries went on high alert, and citizens everywhere looked to the skies with a mixture of fear and wonder. In a hidden underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, world leaders gathered for an emergency summit. The room buzzed with tension as representatives from various nations argued about how to proceed. President Sarah Chen of the United States stood at the head of the table, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have time for petty squabbles. An alien ship has crashed on our planet. We need to act, and we need to act now." General Viktor Volkov of Russia leaned forward, his bushy eyebrows furrowed. "We should strike first," he growled. "Show these aliens we will not be easy prey." "Absolutely not," countered Dr. Amelia Okoye, head of the Global Science Coalition. "This could be our chance for peaceful first contact. We must approach this with caution and diplomacy." As the debate raged on, a young technician burst into the room, face pale with urgency. "Madam President," he gasped, "we've decoded part of the alien transmission. You need to see this." All eyes turned to the large screen at the front of the room. Grainy images flickered to life, showing vast armadas of alien ships. The leaders watched in stunned silence as projections displayed the sheer size of the incoming invasion force. President Chen's voice was barely a whisper. "How long do we have?" Dr. Okoye studied the data, her fingers flying over a tablet. "Based on their projected speed, less than a month." The room erupted into chaos once more, but this time with a new sense of urgency. The threat was real, imminent, and beyond anything they had prepared for. General Volkov slammed his fist on the table. "We must unite our forces. It's our only chance." For once, no one argued. President Chen nodded grimly. "Agreed. As of this moment, I propose we form a united Earth Defense Force. All our resources, all our military might, focused on one goal, the defense of our planet." One by one, the world leaders nodded their assent. Ancient rivalries were set aside. Borders became meaningless. In the face of extinction, humanity found unity. Meanwhile, in a top-secret laboratory in Tokyo, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka and his team worked feverishly to unlock the secrets of the alien technology salvaged from the crash site. "Look at this," Dr. Tanaka murmured, holding up a small glowing device. "Their energy source, it's like nothing we've ever seen before." His colleague, Dr. Emma Blackwell, peered at the readings on her computer. "If we can reverse engineer this, it could revolutionize our weapons systems, our defenses, everything." Across the globe, similar scenes played out. In Silicon Valley, tech geniuses worked to bolster Earth's cyber defenses. In Moscow, military strategists pored over the alien tactical data, searching for weaknesses. In Rio de Janeiro, biologists studied alien DNA, hoping to find biological vulnerabilities. High above the Earth, astronauts on the International Space Station repurposed their scientific equipment into early warning systems. Colonel Jason Park floated before a window, his eyes scanning the stars. "Anything on the long-range sensors?" he asked his crewmate, Major Fatima Al-Zarani. She shook her head. "Nothing yet, but we'll be the first to know when they arrive." As humanity prepared for war, Emperor Zixnor's invasion fleet continued its journey, unaware of the reception that awaited them. The Emperor lounged on his throne, dreaming of easy victory. Admiral Krelthar approached cautiously. "Your Majesty, we've lost contact with the scouting ship." Zixnor waved a dismissive hand. "Probably a malfunction. These primitive humans couldn't possibly pose a threat." Krelthar frowned, but knew better than to argue. As he left the throne room, he couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. Something told him this conquest would be far from simple. Back on Earth, as the sun set on this pivotal day, humanity stood united as never before. In homes, in bunkers, in hastily constructed defense posts, people looked to the skies. The greatest war in human history was about to begin, and the fate of the planet hung in the balance. The day humanity had been preparing for finally arrived. Earth's early warning systems blared to life as the Galactic Empire's massive fleet entered the solar system. On screens across the globe, people watched with a mixture of awe and terror as the alien armada approached. Admiral Krelthar stood on the bridge of the Imperial flagship, his scaled skin glinting under the harsh lights. He gazed at the blue planet growing larger on the view screen, a frown creasing his reptilian features. "Your Majesty," he addressed Emperor Zixnor, who lounged on a floating throne nearby. "Our long-range scans are detecting unusual activity on the planet and its moon. It appears the humans may be expecting us." Zixnor laughed, the sound echoing through the bridge. "Impossible. These primitives couldn't possibly have detected our approach. Begin the invasion as planned." On Earth's moon, hidden beneath the surface of the Sea of Tranquility, Colonel Maria Sanchez peered intently at her control panel. The lunar base, hastily expanded and fortified in the past month, hummed with nervous energy. "Enemy ships approaching optimal range," she announced, her voice steady despite the tension. "Prepare to launch Operation Slingshot." Across the lunar surface, massive rail guns powered up, their barrels aimed at the incoming fleet. These weapons, reverse-engineered from the alien technology and enhanced by human ingenuity, represented Earth's first line of defense. Back on Earth, in the skies above the Pacific Ocean, Squadron Leader Akira Tanaka led a formation of next-generation fighter jets. These aircraft, a marvel of human engineering bolstered by alien tech, were about to face their first true test. "Remember your training," Akira's voice crackled over the comm. "We may be outnumbered, but we have the home field advantage. Let's show these aliens what humans are made of." As the Empire's ships entered lunar orbit, Admiral Krelthar's eyes widened in shock. "Your Majesty, we're detecting a massive energy buildup on the moon's surface." Before Emperor Zixnor could respond, the lunar railguns opened fire. Massive projectiles, accelerated to incredible speeds, slammed into the unprepared alien ships. Explosions blossomed across the fleet as vessel after vessel succumbed to the barrage. "Impossible," Zixnor roared, his composure finally cracking. How could these primitives have such weapons? On Earth, cheers erupted in command centers as the first wave of alien ships fell. But the celebration was short-lived. The Empire's fleet, though caught off guard, was vast. As the survivors regrouped, thousands of smaller craft began to descend towards Earth. In the skies over the Pacific, Akira's squadron engaged the incoming fighters. "Fox 3, he shouted, launching a salvo of advanced missiles. The human fighters, more agile and better adapted to Earth's atmosphere, danced around their alien counterparts. But for every alien ship they destroyed, more took its place. The sheer numbers of the Empire's forces began to tell. In New York, Dr. Emma Blackwell raced through the corridors of an underground research facility. In her hands, she clutched a device that could turn the tide of the battle. "We've done it," she exclaimed, bursting into the command center. "The anti-grav disruptor is ready. If we can deploy it, we can bring down their ships en masse." General Viktor Volkov, now serving as Earth's joint military commander, studied the device with keen interest. "How soon can we get this to our forces in the field?" "We're uploading the schematics now," Dr. Blackwell replied. "Any ship or base with our new quantum transmitters can fabricate and deploy them within the hour." As the battle raged across the globe, humanity's defenders fought with desperate courage. In the streets of London, soldiers armed with reverse-engineered energy weapons held the line against alien ground troops. In the waters off Shanghai, submarines launched salvos of gravity-distorting torpedoes at low-flying enemy craft. Aboard the Imperial flagship, Emperor Zixnor's rage had given way to disbelief. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "These humans, they're using our own technology against us." Admiral Krelthar's reply was grim. "It appears we gravely underestimated them, Your Majesty. Their ability to adapt and innovate is unlike anything we've ever encountered." As the first day of the war drew to a close, both sides had suffered heavy losses. The Empire's invasion had been blunted, but not stopped. And while humanity had bloodied the nose of their would-be conquerors, the fight was far from over. In orbit, on land, and in the skies, the battle for Earth raged on. The fate of both civilizations hung in the balance, and the galaxy watched with bated breath. As the war entered its second week, the initial shock of the alien invasion had given way to a grim determination across Earth. The Galactic Empire's forces, though bloodied, continued to press their attack. But humanity's resolve only grew stronger with each passing day. In the ruins of Cairo, Captain Amir Hassan led a group of resistance fighters through the rubble-strewn streets. They moved silently, their weapons, a mix of traditional firearms and reverse-engineered alien blasters, at the ready. Command says there's an Imperial command post 2 blocks ahead. Amir whispered to his team. If we can take it out, we'll disrupt their entire operations in North Africa. As they rounded a corner, they came face to face with a patrol of alien soldiers. For a moment, both sides froze in surprise. Then, chaos erupted. Energy bolts and bullets flew through the air as humans and aliens alike dove for cover. Amir rolled behind a fallen concrete pillar, his heart pounding. He peeked out, took aim with his alien blaster and fired. An Imperial soldier fell, its armor smoking. "Push forward," Amir shouted. His team responded with a battle cry, surging ahead with a courage born of desperation. Meanwhile, high above the Earth, the space battle continued to rage. The Human Alliance space fleet, cobbled together from pre-war satellites and hastily constructed ships enhanced with alien tech, fought a desperate holding action against the Empire's vast armada. Admiral Layla Wong stood on the bridge of the HSS Defiant, Earth's first true starship. She watched the tactical display with steely eyes, her mind racing as she sought a way to turn the tide. "Ma'am," her tactical officer called out, "we're detecting a weakness in the enemy formation. Sector 7, Grid 18. Layla studied the display, a plan forming in her mind. "All ships, this is Admiral Wong. Concentrate fire on these coordinates. Let's punch a hole in their line." Across the battlefront, human ships responded. Missiles and energy beams converged on a single point in the Imperial fleet. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a brilliant flash, a section of the alien formation collapsed. Cheers erupted across the human fleet. But Admiral Wong allowed herself only a small smile. She knew the battle was far from over. Back on the Imperial flagship, Emperor Zixnor was furious. He paced back and forth, his ornate robes swirling around him. "How?" he demanded. "How are these primitives defeating our superior forces?" Admiral Krelthar stepped forward, his posture tense. "Your Majesty, I believe we have underestimated the humans' capacity for adaptation. They've not only reverse-engineered much of our technology, but improved upon it in ways we never considered." Zixnor's eyes narrowed. "Are you saying these humans are more innovative than the Empire?" Krelthar chose his words carefully. "They think differently, Your Majesty. Their shorter lifespans and diverse cultures seem to drive them to innovate at an astonishing rate. We may need to reconsider our strategy." The Emperor's face contorted with rage. "Never. We are the Galactic Empire. We do not retreat. We do not reconsider. We conquer." As if in response to the Emperor's words, alarms blared across the flagship. A junior officer rushed to Krelthar's side, his voice trembling. "Sir, we're detecting a massive energy buildup on the planet's surface. On Earth, in a hidden facility deep beneath the Amazon rainforest, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka stood before a massive device, the culmination of humanity's combined scientific efforts. Sweat beaded on his brow as he made the final adjustments. "Energy levels are stable," he reported. "The quantum disruptor is ready." President Sarah Chen's voice came through the speakers, tense but determined. "You're sure this will work, Doctor?" Hiroshi took a deep breath. "As sure as we can be, Madam President. This device will create a quantum field that should disable all advanced technology within Earth's orbit. It will affect our tech too, but we're prepared for that. The Empire is not." President Chen's next words would echo in history books for generations to come. "Then do it, Doctor, for Earth. Hiroshi nodded, even though the president couldn't see him. With a silent prayer, he pressed the activation button. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a wave of invisible energy pulsed outward from the planet. In orbit, both human and alien ships suddenly went dark, their advanced systems overloaded by the quantum pulse. As emergency systems kicked in on the human vessels, panic spread through the Imperial fleet. Ships collided, weapons misfired, and chaos reigned. On the flagship, Emperor Zixnor watched in horror as his mighty armada fell into disarray. For the first time since the war began, a flicker of doubt crossed his face. The tide of battle had turned, but the war for Earth's future was far from over. In the aftermath of the quantum disruptor's activation, Earth's defenders seized their moment of advantage. As the Imperial fleet drifted in disarray, human forces launched a coordinated counterattack that would be remembered for generations to come. Admiral Layla Wong, her ship's systems slowly coming back online, barked orders to her crew. All functional vessels, target the enemy's capital ships. Don't let them regroup. Across Earth's orbit, human ships that had prepared for the disruption recovered faster than their alien counterparts. They swarmed the larger Imperial vessels, their weapons finding weak points in the suddenly vulnerable alien defenses. On the ground, the tide of battle shifted dramatically. In the ruins of Paris, Sergeant Jean Dubois led his squad through the Champs-Élysées, now a battleground of fallen alien craft and crumbling buildings. "Look alive, people," Jean called out, his voice gruff but steady. "Their ground forces are in disarray, but they're still dangerous." As if to prove his point, an alien soldier stumbled out from behind a wrecked vehicle, its energy weapon sputtering and sparking. Jean raised his rifle, a hybrid of human and alien tech, and fired. The alien fell, its armor no match for the advanced projectile. "Push forward," Jean shouted, "for Earth." His squad echoed the cry, their voices joining a chorus that rang out across the globe as humanity seized the initiative. In Moscow, Dr. Anastasia Petrova worked feverishly in a hidden bunker, surrounded by a team of international scientists. They huddled around a holographic display showing real-time data from the battlefield. "The quantum disruptor worked better than we hoped," Anastasia said, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "But we need to press our advantage. The aliens will adapt eventually." She turned to her colleague, Dr. Mohammed Al-Fahad. "How soon can we deploy the nanobot swarms?" Mohammed checked his tablet, his fingers flying across the screen. "The first batches are ready. We can launch within the hour." Anastasia nodded, her face set with determination. "Do it. Let's show these invaders what human ingenuity can really do." High above the Earth, aboard the Imperial flagship, chaos reigned. Emperor Zixnor raged at his subordinates as they struggled to restore their systems. "Incompetence," he roared, his face contorted with fury. "How could you let this happen? We are the Galactic Empire. We do not lose to primitives." Admiral Krelthar, his usual composure strained, attempted to calm the Emperor. "Your Majesty, please. We need to regroup, to fall back and—" "Fall back." Zixnor's eyes blazed with madness. "Never. I will not be remembered as the Emperor who retreated from savages. Prepare my personal guard. We will lead the attack ourselves." Krelthar's eyes widened in shock. "But Your Majesty, that's far too dangerous. We don't know what other surprises the humans might have." "Silence," Zixnor bellowed. "I will show these humans the true might of the Empire, and any who stand in my way will be crushed." As the Emperor stormed off to prepare, Krelthar exchanged worried glances with the other officers. The Empire's defeat suddenly seemed not just possible, but inevitable. Back on Earth, in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, President Sarah Chen received the latest battle reports with cautious optimism. "The tide is turning," General Viktor Volkov announced, his gruff voice tinged with rare excitement. "Our forces are pushing them back on all fronts." Sarah nodded, but her expression remained serious. "It's not over yet, General. We can't underestimate them like they underestimated us." As if in response to her words, a young lieutenant burst into the room, his face pale. "Madam President, we're detecting a massive energy surge from the alien flagship. It's heading straight for us." On screens around the world, people watched in horror as the enormous Imperial flagship, bristling with weapons, descended towards Earth. At its head, visible even from a distance, stood Emperor Zixnor, his armor gleaming, a look of maniacal determination on his alien face. The final battle for Earth was about to begin. Humanity's newfound advantage clashed against the desperate fury of a tyrant unwilling to accept defeat. The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance, with the galaxy watching in awe. As armies mobilized and weapons charged, one question echoed across the planet. Could humanity's spirit and ingenuity overcome the last terrible gambit of a dying empire? The sky burned as Emperor Zixnor's flagship, the Immortal Throne, descended upon Earth. Its massive form cast a shadow over the Rocky Mountains, where humanity's last stand was about to unfold. Inside the underground command center, President Sarah Chen's voice rang out, clear and determined. "All units, this is our moment. Everything we've fought for comes down to this. For Earth, for humanity, give it everything you've got." Around the world, humans from all walks of life prepared for the final battle. In orbit, Admiral Layla Wong rallied the remaining space fleet. "Don't let that monstrosity reach the surface," she commanded, her ships moving to intercept. On the ground, a hodgepodge army of soldiers, civilians, and hastily trained volunteers took up positions. Among them stood Captain Amir Hassan, his resistance fighters now part of a global defense force. "Remember," he told his team, "we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every human who has ever lived, and for all who will come after us." As the Immortal Throne approached, Earth's defenses sprang to life. Railed guns on the lunar surface opened fire, their projectiles leaving trails of fire in the atmosphere. From hidden silos across the planet, swarms of nanobots rose to meet the alien ship, seeking to disable its systems from within. Emperor Zixnor stood on the bridge of his flagship, his eyes blazing with mad determination. "Fire everything," he roared. "Reduce their civilization to ashes." The ship's weapons blazed to life, raining destruction upon the Earth below. But humanity was ready. Force fields, reverse-engineered from alien tech and enhanced by human ingenuity, flickered to life over major cities and strategic locations. In the skies, Squadron Leader Akira Tanaka led a desperate attack run against the flagship's main cannon. "This is for Earth," he cried, launching a volley of quantum-tipped missiles. The explosion rocked the massive ship, momentarily halting its assault. Deep underground, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka and his team worked feverishly to bring their secret weapon online. "The harmonic resonator is at 95% charge," he reported, sweat beading on his brow. "We'll only get one shot at this." President Chen's voice crackled over the comm. "Make it count, Doctor. The fate of our world depends on it." As the battle raged, Admiral Krelthar made a fateful decision. Seeing the madness in his emperor's eyes and the futility of their invasion, he turned to his loyal officers. "This ends now," he declared. "For the good of the Empire, we must stop this insanity." On the Immortal Throne's bridge, chaos erupted as Krelthar and his supporters moved against Zixnor. "Traitors!" The Emperor screamed, lashing out with his personal energy weapon. "I'll see you all executed for this." But it was too late. The internal strife had left the flagship vulnerable. On Earth, Dr. Tanaka saw his chance. Harmonic resonator at full power. He shouted, "Firing now." A beam of pure energy shot from a hidden facility in the Rockies, striking the Immortal Throne. The ship's hull vibrated, its molecular structure destabilizing under the assault. Cracks appeared, spreading rapidly across its surface. Emperor Zixnor, seeing his dreams of conquest literally crumbling around him, made one last desperate move. He launched himself towards an escape pod, but Admiral Krelthar stood in his way. "It's over, Your Majesty," Krelthar said solemnly. "The Empire as we knew it is finished." With a cry of anguish and rage, Zixnor lunged at his former admiral. The two aliens grappled as the ship began to break apart around them. From the ground, millions watched as the immortal throne shattered, its fragments burning up in Earth's atmosphere like a spectacular, deadly fireworks display. In the aftermath, as the dust settled and the skies cleared, a stunned silence fell over the planet. Then, slowly at first but building to a crescendo, cheers erupted from every corner of the globe. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious. In the days that followed, Admiral Krelthar, one of the few Imperial survivors, approached Earth's leaders to sue for peace. The war was over, but its impact would be felt for generations to come. As President Chen addressed a jubilant world, her words echoed the sentiment felt by every human heart. Today, we have proven that unity, innovation, and the indomitable human spirit can overcome any obstacle. We have earned our place among the stars, not through conquest, but through our courage and determination. The galaxy will never be the same, and neither will we. The first galactic war had ended, and humanity's journey to the stars was just beginning.